Hello everyone. My name is Joy Malete and welcome to Money Matters. Money Matters is an interactive show that aims to educate our viewers on their consumer rights and provide advice on money-related matters. Do you perhaps have a money-related matter or problem that you would like advice on? Well, go right ahead and contact us and we may be able to help. Today on the show, we are talking all things retirement planning. Is retirement planning an abstract idea? Do you have a retirement plan in place? Well, joining us today to unpack a little bit on this topic is Mpho Butuma, an independent financial advisor. Please do continue to join in on the conversation on our Facebook and Twitter platforms using the hashtag #MMOnSID. Welcome back, Sister Mpho. How are you doing?
I'm well, thank you. Thank you so much for the invitation.
And thank you for accepting the invitation, I suppose.
Yes, you're welcome.
It's such, I don't know, it's a funny topic, right? In the sense that we ignore, retirement planning.
Yes.
We think that we are going to be of a working age or we're never going to reach retirement. I don't know what we're thinking, to be quite honest. But it's quite a very touchy topic because we hardly ever talk about saving or even saving enough for retirement. What is retirement planning? Maybe let's start there.
Yes. So one day you and I will be indeed told that we're too old to be working. We'll be told to go sit at home and rest.
Yeah.
Or we'll say, we're tired, we're out, So those are the factors that will come, right?
Yeah.
So retirement planning really has three phases or three stages, right? It is planning before your retirement, so while you are working. Then just making sure, are you making provision for enough capital at retirement? Then there's planning at retirement, right? Checking the tax implications for when you are now withdrawing your benefits, etc. And there's obviously a bit of advice as well, even after retirement, in terms of investing your capital. So essentially, those are the three planning stages that you need to carefully consider with your financial advisor.
And I suppose you're talking about all these other, the phases that you need to talk about. Is it something that I only look at as a once-off, or is it something that I constantly need to be looking at, at each phase of my life, I suppose?
Correct. I mean, out of the portfolio of things that you want to achieve, whether in your asset accumulation, right, whether it's property, etc., making provision for your retirement will take the longest, right? So you need to start as early as possible. So planning for it properly in every phase of your life, even when you're moving from one employer to another, that's something you need to be looking at. And because essentially, no one's going to give you that money at the end of the road. It's something you're really going to have to put in, It's only going to come from you, yeah.
And why is it so important? Why is retirement planning so important?
Well, unless you want to depend on the state. Well, retirement planning is super important because you want to sort of lift that burden off of yourself. Just making sure that you kind of you're able to keep the kind of lifestyle that you've gotten used to.
Yeah.
And more importantly, you're just able to survive. You know what I mean? I think just having income and not having to depend on your siblings or on our children, etc., will then definitely go a long way. And I mean, the statistics, we hear it all the time. 6% of people in SA retire comfortably. So there's a lot of work that we still need to do, constant work, to make sure we are retiring comfortably. So just to, I was sitting in a it's a lot, I know, right? So I was sitting in a virtual conference for financial advisors the other day, and one of the speakers was like, well, are we being realistic with trying to save for 30, 35 years to cater for 40 years, again? And he went on to say, maybe we really need to start thinking about side hustles in retirement. Maybe, sitting at home because you're tired and waking up because you want to wake up is maybe not going to be an option necessarily. So what are the side hustles, in the next 10, 15 years, or even if you're retiring now? So, it's a lot to think about.
It's a lot to think about, right? Because And I suppose also just keeping your mind active at that retirement age just helps to keep you going.
Yes, no,
you
for
don't
sure.
you don't age that fast
quickly.
or that
Yes.
quickly.
Yeah, yeah.
Sort of call it. Maybe let's just break it down a bit. How does it work?
Okay.
How does retirement planning work and the likes?
Okay, so it starts by setting your goals, right? So what's the income that you want at retirement? It's easy to say, 100% of my salary, but do you have the provisions in place to cater for that, right? So we set the goals and we look at things like there will be things at retirement that are consistently there in terms of expenses. So medical aid would obviously have increased. You'd want to keep your medical aid. Thank goodness some things would have fallen off. So hopefully you won't have property debt anymore.
Yes.
The children are grown. You won't have to cater for university. Will you only be able to settle all your debt at retirement? We need to then make provision for that. Or are you going to settle all your debt before retirement? So as soon as we've made sure that we know what your goals are, we see, well, what do you have in place to make provision for that? Do you have a pension fund or provident fund in place? Do you have a retirement annuity in place? And most importantly, is there a shortfall for what you are planning? Because also you need to think, well, you're going to want to go on holiday maybe once a year. You possibly would want a new car 10 years into retirement.
Yeah, wow.
So, we need to think about all those things. Rates and taxes, you're still going to pay that on your property. So those are all the things that we need to jot down and think about. And obviously each plan for each person is unique, and then we check if there's a shortfall and we just make sure that you're putting in the money to cater for your goals.
To cater for that, for that retirement at the end. Because
at the end.
Yeah. Wow. And what kind of vehicles can I use as part of my retirement planning? Okay. I think some people who are employed have, say, pension plans in place. Yeah. But what other vehicles can I use?
Yeah. So, yes, if there's an employee-employer relationship in place, yes, you'll have your pension provident fund with your employer where the employer is saying they'll either help you contribute towards your fund or you contribute alone. You'll know what the dynamics are when you, go into employment with them. So, and then in your private capacity, you can take out a retirement annuity. So the state is incentivizing us for taking that out in our private capacity. So if you've got this with your employer, great. At least you've got something to work with. But even better, if you can still take it out in your private capacity. If you're self-employed, then taking it out in your private capacity is even more important, to cater for that. So those essentially are the vehicles that one can use.
To plan for retirement and just make sure that you've got enough in the kitty to help you as you retire. Oh, well, with that being said, we are going to take a short break. Do continue engaging with us. Share your comments, your views, your thoughts. Do you have a retirement plan in place? We are so keen on hearing from you. So please continue engaging with us on our social media platforms using the hashtag MMOnSID. We will see you shortly just after this.
All of these and more on SID Media TV.
Welcome back to Money Matters. If you have just joined us, welcome. We are talking all things retirement planning, and joining us to unpack on this topic is Mpho Sibotuma, an independent financial advisor. please don't forget that you are also part of this conversation. So continue engaging with us on our social media platforms using the hashtag MM on SID.
Yes.
Sheesh, retirement, right? And South Africa generally has a poor culture of saving, Batong. We just have a poor culture of saving. What measures has the government, and I think you perhaps touched on it, previously, but what measures has the government put in place to encourage a habit of saving towards your retirement?
Yeah. So, I mean, with the retirement annuity that you take out in your private capacity, what it does is that when you do your income tax, you're going to get a tax certificate the same way you would do with a medical aid. And it will actually contribute to taking your taxable income down, right? So that's what we talk about when we say there's an incentive, a tax incentive, taking out a retirement annuity in your private capacity. So that's the main thing that they've put in place.
Okay, so it's the tax benefits.
The tax benefit
behind all of it.
So it takes your taxable income down.
Okay. And how are they discouraging early excess?
Well, I mean, gosh, you can only access those savings at the first time at age 55 is the earliest, right? And also they've put a measure in place where you're not able to access all of the money. All right, so I'm going to break this down. So your retirement annuity together with your pension fund have always had a rule where you get 1/3 upfront as a lump sum. The 2/3 are then you take out an annuity where you're going to get an income from. And the Provident Fund was always the one where as soon as you've left your employment, you could take all your cash with you.
Yes.
Right? And we've made those mistakes as we were leaving employment. You were taking that money out, which just puts you back on zero, right?
Yeah.
And so what happened now, as financial advisors in this industry, we've been waiting for this day. This year in March, the Provident Fund no longer allows that.
Oh.
Provident Fund will now also be same rule, 1/3, 2/3.
I see.
Same rule, right? So that took effect now in March. So, but it doesn't mean, so you've been working for 10 years, you've been accumulating under your Provident Fund. So the law is not retrospective. So it's going to only go from March 2021 going forward. You won't be able to access your money. So, but if you leave your employment, the 10 years you've been accumulating, you will be able to access it. Sadly, but going forward, which is a great thing for us in this industry, because this money is for your retirement, and that's it.
Yeah, it
you
should
know what
be
I mean?
for
It
your
should
retirement.
be.
Yeah, and I suppose there are penalties as well, right? If you do access those funds.
No, for sure.
You do get tax penalties.
Yes, definitely. I mean, when you do take that money out of that Provident Fund, the tax table that they use to tax you is huge, as opposed to when you're actually retiring.
At retirement.
Yes, the tables that they use to tax you is way, way less. So that's another way for government to kind of
So there is an incentive to say, okay, actually, guys, I'm encouraging you to save, but at the same time, to discourage people from actually accessing these funds, whether withdrawing from their provident funds is to say, I'm actually going to double tax you or to tax you, extensively on these funds.
Yeah, for sure.
Wow. And I think I read somewhere that nearly half of South Africans do not have a retirement plan, which is so sad, right? Where around 75% of those who have some type of plan in place are worried that they will not have enough at retirement.
For sure.
Or to even live after, after retirement. Why is it, in your own views or opinions, that South Africans do not see this as a priority? Why is retirement something that seems to be an abstract thing or, a far-fetched idea?
I mean, I think in our industry, obviously, it's education. I would say if we could do better as an industry, perhaps to educate. But of course, you get clients that say, well, I'll be rich by then, or, it's still so far. I'll start thinking about it when I'm 50. It's sadly a mentality that we have where it's like, well, it's something so far, should I even be worrying about it, now, right? Yeah. And the other thing is that when you are leaving employment and you have that opportunity to access the money with the Provident Fund, it's not an HR role to advise. They're not allowed to advise, right?
Okay.
So it's financial advisors, right? So HR will simply say to you, here are the options. You can preserve your
form.
money. Yeah, give you the forms. Okay.
You just fill it in yourself.
What have you decided? You know?
Yeah.
So you can preserve your money or you can cash it out, right? So they give you the options, but they do say contact a financial advisor.
Yeah.
So sometimes clients don't go the extent of saying, well, let me go get advice on this, right? Because we definitely would discourage it. They just go with the option of you know, cashing out or withdrawing. So I think as an industry or as a country, if they can maybe perhaps have a law, in my opinion, have a law where advice is compulsory at that point.
Yeah.
Yes, at that point where someone is leaving, instead of just leaving it open to the human resources to just give them the options, you know what I mean?
Or maybe they shouldn't even have options available, right? They should just say transfer. Whether you're transferring to your next employer group or whatever the case may be, just do not access the funds.
Definitely.
And how important now, just talking on that principle, right? So on that issue, how important is it rather to apply the principle of delayed gratification in order to establish or rather maintain good savings habits?
Yeah, I mean, I touched on this. Like I said, in terms of all your asset accumulation and your entire portfolio, retirement will take the longest, right? And you've only got so much time. You've only got the 30 to 35 years, you know, to save for 20, 25, 40 years. I saw a headline saying, get ready to live to 150. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
You know, with technology. So I think the time we are putting money away and what we're going to be catering for with technology, we really need to just hold our horses and say, you know what, we're doing this and have something at the end of the road. So
we're in trouble as the YOLO generation. You don't only live once. You must think for retirement, I suppose.
150, here we come.
You need to think for retirement. Yes. You need to think for retirement. And I think also without discounting, you know, the impact that COVID has had on people's pockets and the likes. You know, I think we've touched on, you know, the benefits and the costs of premature sort of withdrawals on your savings or your endowments and things like that. But how, as a rule of thumb, right, how much should I start saving at each stage of my life, say in my 20s, my 30s, as a rule of thumb?
If you consistently save 15% of your gross income for the 30 to 35 years, 15%. It will buy you at least another 20 to 25 years in retirement.
Okay, so that's the rule of thumb.
Correct.
Just 15% of your gross.
As it grows,
15% becomes standard. Okay.
If you can contribute more, wonderful.
Yeah.
There is in terms of your retirement annuity, there's a limit in terms of how much you'll get as a deduction when you submit your tax. But if you can contribute more, definitely do so.
Wow. 15% as a rule of thumb. Well, with that being said, we'll take a short ad break. Please do continue engaging with us on our social media platforms using the hashtag #MMOnSID. We'll see you shortly just after this. Welcome back to Money Matters. It's been quite an intriguing conversation that we have been having with our guest, Mpho Sibuthuma, on retirement planning. Mpho, just before the break, we were talking on, you know, as a rule of thumb, how much should I be saving towards your retirement planning? And you indicated, you know, 15% of your gross income. So in other words, if I earn 1,000 Rand, 150 should go towards, and this is before tax, right? Because that is gross, that's before tax. What are the implications of me not starting as soon as I am actually employed?
Yeah.
Right.
So for every year that you don't start, you're going to need another 2 years almost to catch up.
Okay.
Right? And no one's going to do it for you. I always say that to my clients as well. And it doesn't, yes, is it too late to start to a certain extent? Yes. But I also say no,
Yeah.
you know, rather start, whether you're at 45 or 50,
Start.
and just put away what you can. Most of the time right now, it's what you can afford. Even though we do the calculations, we check the shortfalls, we see how much you should be putting away. I always say, you know, what you can according to your budget. So the longer you wait, the steeper it gets, really. Like I mentioned, you know, for every year that you wait, it's sort of like another 2 years of trying to catch up, you know. So you're always just in the back foot. So it would be wonderful if you could start
as
soon as you're
possible.
employed. Yes.
I mean, well, that does not make sense from a maths perspective, but maybe just explain why it would take you 2 years to recover from a gap of 1 year.
So, I mean, the power of compound interest is, you know, powerful, right? The power of compound interest is powerful. Wow, Mpo.
It's powerful. That's how powerful it is.
So we sometimes make an example as financial advisors. We plot for our clients where someone who started at the age of 20 and someone who's starting at the age of 30, just to show the power of compound interest.
Yeah.
The person who starts at 30 will almost never catch up to the person that started early, right? And this is now stripping away growth and all of that, just compound interest, right? So essentially that's what it is. It's the earlier you start, the better. Yeah.
Because those funds are actually invested somewhere. It's not like those funds are taken and they sit somewhere.
Yes.
Those funds are taken and they actually work, right? Those funds are taken and they work to actually earn you the growth that you then get at retirement. Because if we were to save that 15% and there was no growth on that amount, it perhaps not even be enough, right, at retirement.
Yeah.
But because it's put in investment vehicles that actually grow the money for you to make it sustainable in future.
Yes. No, definitely.
That's essentially what you're referring to right now. Wow. Okay. So that's quite interesting. So I suppose the sooner you start, the better it is for you, right, at retirement, and it just alleviates the pressure from either the state and your dependents and the like.
Yeah.
There are different types of annuity vehicles that one can use to save for retirement, and also vehicles at retirement.
Yes.
Can you just explain those?
Yes. So retirement annuities fall under they're governed by two laws. There's a retirement annuity that we call as Life Rept, and it is governed by the Long-Term Insurance Act. And then there's one that is a LISP, a linked investment, and it is governed by the Collective Investment Schemes Act.
Okay.
Right? So the one with governed by the Long-Term Insurance Act is more restrictive in terms of your contributions, increasing contributions. The other one is more flexible, but underlying all of that is that the money goes towards your asset managers to buy unit trusts, you know, to try and get you the growth that you're talking about. So those are the two vehicles during retirement. And then at retirement, you've got what we call a living annuity and a life annuity, all right? So the life one is simply put, we look at how much you've put away. So you've now put away your 5 million. That's how much you've got. You've got control over how much you withdraw, obviously with the advice of your financial advisor, and you are managing it, right? As where the living annuity, you go to an insurer and they say, well, you've saved your 5 million, great. However, we are going to see what how long are you going to live? So they kind of take the risk to say, we're going to give you an life expectancy. Thank you. So they're saying to you, well, we're looking at how much you've saved, what your life expectancy is, and we're going to guarantee an income for you for the rest of your life, right? And hoping that you don't outlive their estimates, right?
We hope so.
Yes. Some you do. It's risk again. It's what it is, and so it's just about which one works best for you. You know, if you are not going to be watching your capital, looking at where it's being invested, and you're not too affair with all of that, then the other one where you're saying to the insurer, well, give me my income, manage it. But then you've got clients who are very, savvy. They want to have control. They want to have control over their drawdown. We call it a drawdown, the amount that you're taking. So you then go with that type of annuity that suits you. Yeah.
That suits your needs.
Your
Wow.
needs. Yes.
That was quite interesting. Paul, any final thoughts, remarks, anything that you want to leave us with, words of wisdom?
Yes, pearls of wisdom. Yes.
Pearls of wisdom.
Start as early as possible. If you do leave your employer, preserve your money, because you're just ending up on zero again, right? That's all you're doing, and you're just prolonging something, the inevitable. Because retirement is coming.
Yeah,
it is coming, and to everyone just make an effort to put in the money.
Yeah. And in the event that you actually don't even reach retirement, your beneficiaries can actually benefit from it, right?
Definitely. Yeah, you
so it's never a loss.
You select your beneficiaries at death. The insurer pays out to them. Yeah,
then they pay out to it. Well, thank you, Paul, for such an insightful conversation and discussion. Thank you for sharing your words of wisdom and sort of guiding us on this very important topic that we so dread, right, on retirement planning.
Thank you.
And while our viewers at home, it is the end of our conversation and discussion, but it is not the end for you, because you can continue engaging with us on our social media platforms. Do not forget to tag us at the SID Media using the hashtag MM on SID. We will see you same time, same place, right here on Money Matters. And from me, Joy Malete, and the rest of the Money Matters team, it is goodbye and God bless.